So I'm telling Excel to do whatever I'm going to tell you 60 times, and you're going to keep track of what you're doing using that JCount thing. So first time you go through this loop, JCount is going to be 1. And you're going to make calculations that assumes JCount is 1. Second time, JCount is going to be 2, unless I said anything otherwise. Because I could have done, say, do this, but do it in steps of 3. So 1, 4, 7. Or you can start from the end and come back. For NQ to 1, then you say step minus 1. So you go to the end, come back. In fact, we use that in pricing American options. We do something, we go to the very end, we know exactly what's going to happen to the option value at the expiration, and you come back down. But programming-wise, it's the same. If you don't say any step, VBA assumes that you're going to go by steps of 1. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take iPres, okay? Again, just, let's call this JPres as double. I'm using that to tell me that this is going to be the present value of the J coupon. Again, I like indenting. Internally, that doesn't make any difference whatsoever, but it makes reading the code easier. JPres is equal to, we'll correct that, value of the coupon, which we calculated as iCash, divided by 1 plus P rate raised to the power JCount. So if JCount is 2, that power is going to be 2. I have calculated that period's present value for the coupon. All I have to do is add it to that placeholder I had. And that placeholder I had was called iPres equals iPres plus JPres. I just updated that. I took the value of, present value of, assuming that the first count, present value of the first coupon, I took then I added to the present value the face value I have already calculated. Next time I'm going to add to that running sum present value of the second, third, yada, yada, yada. What I should warn you, that equal sign over there does not say that this is an equation. Okay? iPres is not equal to iPres plus JPres. That could only be true if JPres was 0, right? That equal sign over there is called an assignment operator. Here's what it does in colloquial speech. It goes to the location in memory that was tagged with the name iPres, okay? And in that location, there's a value sitting. It grabs the value. Let's say that's $900. Then it goes to the location in memory that's tagged as JPres, grabs the value from there, that's let's say $100, adds them up, 1,000, and goes back to the location tagged iPres and changes the value to 1,000. That's that equal sign means. It assigns the value of the things on the right-hand side to the location on the left side. So it is not an equation, it is an assignment operator. Later on, when you probably won't do it in this class, but If you're doing what we call subs, subs are code that performs a certain task. It doesn't return anything. For example, you want to change the color of a lot of cells to random colors. Okay? I could go through them, change all the colors. When I'm done, I just go back to the spreadsheet. That's a sub. Function calculates something and returns it to the entity that called it. Sometimes it's the worksheet, sometimes it's another thing on VBA. But subs does things on the worksheet. Certain subs have inputs. In that case, when you're giving the input, you say equal column. That is read as becomes equal to. But we're not going to do any of that in this class. Maybe if we have time left at the end when we have optional topics, we could do something like that. And I'm done. I updated it, and all I have to do is tell Excel, just go to the next of these animals. What is next? Next JCount. That means you started with value of JCount as 1. You've done all those calculations I asked you, assuming JCount was 1. Okay, we're done with those. Now go to the next one. And that is determined by the steps. In this case, that means increase JCount by 1. If I had steps -1, JCount was going to go to 0. Then -1 and so on. All this is go to the next JCount, and you know what's that going to be using that rule. The step rule. If you don't put anything, that step rule is just add 1. We're done. There is nothing else I can do for this bond except to return the value. Who cares how you spell things in comments, because they don't affect anything. And the name of my function was fixed bond price, and that's equal to IPRES, because by then IPRES contains sum of all the present value of all the cash flows from this bond. Of course, I didn't write it correctly. I didn't do that on purpose this time, but it allowed me to catch it, my capitalization scheme. Now it's time to test this code. I believe it works, but let's see. In this case, we know exactly what that bond price is. So let's calculate it. First time if you started this code in a fresh Excel sheet, you need to save it as a macro-enabled Excel sheet. This one already is, but since I'm going to save it under a different name anyway, so save as. Let's go to my place. I didn't even add the folders. Feb 06. Isn't today the Groundhog Day, by the way? When is that?
It was a few days ago.
Was it second? I don't know.
Remember. The groundhog died on Groundhog Day, though.
Okay, give that any name. I'm gonna call this Feb 06 Excel file, bonds with VBA. Save. I didn't show you. It showed it as macro enabled, but make sure you explicitly pick it. Sometimes you make a calculation and you want that sheet to serve as a template, which means it's going to create a blank, a new Excel sheet, but it's going to create having all those in there. In that case, you're gonna save it as a macro-enabled template if you have macros in it. So that down. Right here, it takes an extension XLTM, not XLSM. And I'm gonna call this bond price template. It saves it to your custom office templates place, which means I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I'm gonna say new, okay? It's not here, but I'm gonna go ahead and find it. Let me see. Personal, come on. Right here, bond price template. And I'm gonna pin that. I haven't, but I could have. It's created a new version of that, okay? I could work on all of this, save it as something else, but if I want to start just with this, all I have to do is get another one. Since I haven't pinned it, let me close this. Where is the recent stuff? Right here. And if you pin, it automatically comes here, okay? New what? Since I pinned it, it's here. If you don't want it to appear there, just get rid of it. So I want one of those.